So I've only just been made aware of this, but apparently there is a mini documentary of me on the internet. It was made by a channel called The Pirate Diaries, and the title is Grand Line Review, One Piece's most successful but controversial YouTuber. So I'm pretty excited to check this out. I almost never do reactions, but this has promise. I can feel it.
Anyone else sick of Grand Line Review? Grand Line Review, Try Not to Clickbait Challenge, Impossible. Bring back the old Grand Line Review.
Oh, these are all Twitter threads.
That the most popular One Piece creators' best days may be behind them.
He's behind me, isn't he?
But is that true? Liam with the Grand Line
I love what I like
from
to.
being a full-time theater worker who became jaded towards his craft and doing YouTube for fun to an audience of under 100 views a video, to a multi-channel mogul earning over 500 million views. And with all these eyeballs, all
right, hold up, stop. Do I have 500 million views? I don't think I do. I need to check this because I really don't think I do. All right, Social Blade says the Grand Line Review has 275 million, and we have 78 million on New World Review. And as much as I love this channel, I can't imagine that Dude in the Room is adding a lot to that. So yeah, not quite 500 million views, nowhere near it, but maybe one day.
200K a year from ads and sponsorships. But through his rise to a fleet commander of a combined 1.5 million subs, the Australian YouTuber has made many enemies, but smoothly navigated his way through a plethora of controversies and critiques, and some not so elegantly. You are talking out of your impossibly
Todd disagree. I think that was my finest
Today
moment.
you will learn about the rise of One Piece's most successful YouTuber, how he did it, and the many controversies that could lead to the end of his piratey career. One of the things that makes Grand Line Review so successful is the pure bingeability of his channels. Each channel only focuses on one singular topic, not just a niche, but a singular topic, hyper focusing on super fans who will consume as much content as possible about their favorite IPs. And with similar link videos,
to pirates,
and
that's
Liam's
how it
ability
is.
to find new, fun, innovative ways to capture his audience attention, it's no wonder his channel has seen consistent growth since it first caught steam and became favored by the YouTube.
Okay, hang on. So, sorry to keep pausing, but this one video is getting brought up a lot. This video here is, I think, the first time that I ever showed my face on camera, and you can tell because the angle is horrible. It's like all up my nose. And also, that's my old microphone, the Rode Podcaster. I still have that in my office as a memorial, actually. But I'm really surprised to see this because this is a super obscure video I once did long time ago reviewing small One Piece YouTubers, some of which are still active today, actually, because as part of that video, I subscribed to each and every one of them to track their progress, although very sadly, almost none of them are still making videos. I think it might be just Jusil and Wolf Nara, but that is to say that I cringe every time a clip from this video comes up because it was not a well-made video.
Given he's replicated this channel's success on
I will say this video is starting out significantly more positively than
and with so much YouTube prowess, you would think Liam's always been a YouTube wizard, a prodigy that started from an early age, but this isn't the reality. The journey of Grand Line Review started on January 11, 2015. Previous to the creation of his first channel, Liam had no aspirations of becoming an internet celebrity. In his own words, he admitted that throughout high school, he never really knew what he wanted to be in life. He felt he couldn't relate to his peers. As he went to a private school, all the other students had their entire lives laid out for them by their parents.
I don't even remember saying that, but it is 100% true. My school was designed to breed and cultivate excellence in all of the traditionally high-earning fields. You know, if you were going there, you were expected to come out as a doctor, an economist, a business executive, etc. And then there's me. So I am 100% the greatest disappointment that my high school has ever produced.
People gunning to be lawyers, doctors, and politicians, Liam felt unsure where his life was heading. The only thing he knew though was he didn't want to do any of that stuff. But one day on a school trip to the theater, he realized he was having a blast. He thought, wow, that looks fun. Can I do that? So on a whim, he just decided his life's course. I still find this age quite impressive. He's seen something he liked and he went for it. It may have been later than his peers, but I still don't know what I want to do. I'm still praying this YouTube thing works out. Since then, he admitted
Me too, man. I hope this works out for you. This is a fun video so far.
On what he thought would be fun at the time. After high school, he applied for a bunch of theater courses. He eventually got accepted in one for theater design. This school was about 6 hours from where he...
All right, hold here. Slight Australia lesson. Pirate Diary seems to have me traveling all the way to Western Australia, which is very far away. It's about 4.5 hours by plane. But actually, if you were to drive from one side of Australia to the other, it would take about a week. So my university was still in New South Wales, but a 6-hour drive from Sydney. So not quite as far as this Liam's going.
Liam spent the next 3 years learning about how to do sound sound, lighting, costume, and set design. He graduated and set
Less
sail back
sound.
to his
It was a
hometown
pretty bad
and started his
course for
career.
sound,
During his time
honestly.
at college, Liam had grew to love theater as a form of escapism, and he considered himself a professional escapist, building new realities to play around in. It wasn't too long before he found work. He said it was quite easy actually to break into the local scene because, as he put it, once you know one person in Australian theater, you pretty much have an adjacent connection to everyone.
It's a very incestuous
His first
industry.
couple jobs were as a lighting designer, stage manager, and sometimes a technician, but later on he found steady work
Often
as a
a
lighting
technician.
programmer. Through Liam's time in theater, he actually cultivated an impressive resume, working at historical sites like the Sydney Harbour and Sydney Opera House. And some of the
I did indeed work at the Opera House, although Pirate Diaries has chosen a photo of the one venue within the Opera House that I didn't work in. That there is a picture of the concert hall, and there's not a lot of work in there for people like me, because it's meant for orchestras with basic lighting requirements, those requirements being, do you want the lights on or do you want them off? And most orchestras choose to have the lights on, so that's my job done. But I think I've worked in every other venue at the Opera House. It's actually a collection of 5 different spaces of different sizes, and I've even done a show on the stairs outside of the Sydney Opera House, which was something.
One of the plays he worked on was the Grammy Award winning satirical musical The Book of Mormon. This play was composed by Trey Parker and Matt Stone. You may know them though as the
And
creators
Robert
of South
Lopez,
Park. Now
I
all of
believe.
this sounds amazing, right? I mean, this is the pinnacle of what his career could offer, but that doesn't mean it made him happy. He did find theater rewarding, but also brutal. A lot of these plays took place outside, exposing them to the elements.
Did
Rain
so
and harsh
many
winds
outdoor
means
operas,
broken
man.
light
It's
and
too
equipment,
many.
which resulted in extra work. On top of that, the work wasn't really consistent.
Theater is, well, it's
Oh
kind
God,
of
it's
brutal
me.
because very rarely do
Oh,
you
this is
actually
strange.
have a
Now
job.
I'm
It's more
actually
like working
reacting
as
to
a
me.
contractor. You've got a series of gigs
Like
lined up. You might be on
pre-time-skip
one
me
show
as
for a
well.
couple of weeks and then another for a couple of months.
I do not
very
miss
rarely
the
will you
smooth
be doing the
face.
same thing for more than 3 months in the Australian scene anyway, which causes a lot of anxiety because at any given time you may or may not know if you're actually going to be working this time next month.
And because the work wasn't guaranteed, neither was
True
the
that.
money.
Speak
This
your
led to
truth,
Liam
Liam.
taking a lot of jobs he didn't really want to because, you know, adulting costs money, unfortunately. This harsh reality counteropposed his whole
Adulting in
philosophy
Sydney
of
costs lots of
choosing
money.
this as a career in the first place. He could actually feel himself losing interest. The feel of dread reaching its peak in 2015. Apart from this, he realized that things had stagnated at work. He had very rapidly reached the ceiling of what theater technicians had to offer. There just wasn't room for growth. He noticed that the same people he was working with had been doing his same position for 40 or 50 years, and they were still making the same money he was already making in his early 20s, and that income wasn't a desirable future to him. I mean, it could pay the bills, but it didn't leave any room for traveling or other things he felt really ambitious about.
Yeah, so I must have told this story before, but when I was a lighting tech on gigs, I would frequently be in teams with people in their 50s and 60s doing the same job as me for the same money, and that was just a very bleak view of the future. Like in theater, there is very limited upward job mobility. It's mostly you can move parallel.
Then it all hit him at once. He was bored, and that wasn't okay with him. He had set out to build new worlds, but
It was
those
a bit
same
more than
walls he was
bored,
building
but, like,
became his prison
yeah.
cells. Most of the plays he worked on wasn't interesting to him. Mostly just social commentaries that took place in living room sets.
People
Every day
talking
felt
in
more and
rooms.
more
That's
draining, so he
most
started
of
to
what
fall
I
back
did as
into
a
his hobbies.
designer.
Things like anime, manga, and gaming. At the time, he was also watching a lot of YouTube, but he discovered he had a problem. His favorite show of all time was One Piece, but even though he was addicted to YouTube at the time, he really couldn't find any good piratey content. At the time, Naruto and Dragon Ball Z were the cool kids on the internet blocks, and One Piece wasn't nearly as large as it is now. It was still struggling to recover from the whole Full Kids thing, which, like Voldemort, I won't bring up again. This void of pirate content combined with Liam's thirst for a new creative outlet led him to make the Grand Line Review YouTube channel. He never really expected anything to come out
was
of
Thanos
it. It was
before
just something
Thanos.
he was doing
I'll
for the
do it
love of the
myself.
series. He was actually shocked when people started finding his videos, and they was reacting positively. He couldn't believe it. He had stumbled onto a new way to escape, while also helping other people do the same and escape into his videos. He had a small community, but nothing compared to what he would have in the future. It wasn't until 2016 he even broke 100 views, and this didn't happen until he quit YouTube for a while, mostly from the lack of
100
time
views
working
on a
multiple
single
jobs.
view.
But once he came
It's not a
back
single
after his
video,
short
by the
break,
way.
he noticed he had broken 1,000 views on several videos, mostly because of his SEO-friendly topics and titles. Two series in particular was taken off: The Devil Fruit Encyclopedia and One Piece 1-on-1.
Yeah, this is true. I gave up on YouTube for a very long time after many months of making videos because I just wasn't seeing any progress. But before I left, I did unknowingly plant a few seeds with those One Piece 101 videos, which grew into some very mighty plants. And then when I came back, one of the things I tried to do was replicate that formula with the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia, which was when things really started taking off. And to me, it was a very simple equation. If something works, keep doing it. And if something doesn't work, do something else. And I think most beginner YouTubers fall into the trap of, the thing I'm doing isn't working, but I am not going to change it, and then wondering why things don't go anywhere. But in all honesty, I was actually very lucky to hit on something that did work early on, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be here.
Oh, this was perfect for helping people understand the complicated nuances of One Piece powers.
graphics.
And it was also great for recaps. So he came back full swing, putting in full-time hours into something he wasn't even getting paid for. He continued to do YouTube and theater until he felt like he was destroying himself. Having an unmatched work ethic doesn't describe the amount of dedication he was putting into doing all these things.
There came a point where I was working full-time on another outdoor opera, but in addition to that, I was also designing a show.
So this is
in
me
an
describing
theater, and on top of
the
that,
rock
I was
bottom
making
of my
3
life.
YouTube videos a week. So my schedule was something like this. I'd wake up, I'd go to the theater where I was designing a show, spend pretty much all my day there until around 4 p.m, and then leave for my opera job, which was about 5 p.m. till 3 a.m. Because being outdoors, we couldn't really do much with the lights unless it was dark. So we needed to be there at really stupid times to plot. Now after that, I would go back to the first theater where I was designing a show, edit and post a YouTube video, and then fall asleep on one of their couches for a couple of hours before needing to wake up again.
All right, pause. I'd like to point out that I did this without their permission, by the way. The theater did not know that I was sleeping in there, but it was the only way the show got done.
Exactly
Absolute worst time
make it on
in
his
my
platform.
life. But
success still isn't guaranteed.
eventually it paid
isn't
off.
Liam felt like the quality of his videos and his life was suffering because of his schedule. He knew he had to choose, but he couldn't just afford to quit his jobs altogether because, you know, bills. So he dropped the lighting design job because it took up too much time and it paid poorly. Ironically, he caught a break in theater
Sometimes it didn't pay at
by
all.
getting a long-term gig on the aforementioned Book of Mormons. He found his play fantastic. He got to work with amazing people. His wife even got a job on the show. I mean, that sounds
wife
perfect,
was in the
right?
show.
Well, no. It was actually this fact that this was the best theater had to offer, and he was still so damn miserable. He knew he had to make a change. He knew that if this play didn't make him happy, then nothing in theater could.
This dude
he needed
knows
to
more
be
about
done.
me than I
Throughout
know
the year,
about
he
me.
found himself giving less and less to his job and more to YouTube, finding every excuse he could to focus on YouTube, even hiding to write or edit while on set. By this time, he had
100% true, and I was doing a lot of that during the Book of Mormon. I did a lot of things on that show. I sort of bounced between operating the lighting desk, doing follow spots, and the floor technician tracks, which you need to do because, and I cannot stress this enough, it gets so damn repetitive to just do one job 8 shows a week for a year straight. But the floor technician tracks in particular had a lot of downtime, every second of which I used to either write or edit those early Grand Line Review videos.
and this was looking like it could be something. He soon after got accepted into the partnership program and was able to monetize
Soon
his hard work.
is-
and after 3 years, his YouTube grind
It took
really
me
started
about
to
a
pay
year
off.
to
So
get
after he
accepted
wrapped up the
from
Book of Mormons, he
application.
quit his theater gigs altogether. It did feel risky, but he had good timing because as soon as he started dedicating himself to YouTube full-time, the pandemic hit, which made several things
Pretty
happen.
much,
YouTube seen
yeah.
a
It
huge
was
spike in
wildly
viewers.
timed.
People were off work with more time to spend on YouTube. One Piece simultaneously was starting to explode in the West because of some high
People
budget
had
One
time
Piece
to
movies.
watch it,
It also helped
finally.
that in general, anime was becoming
That's
more
why
mainstream.
during COVID
I
it
even
was
had
so
a few
good.
friends who have been putting off One Piece for a long time actually started because they finally had the free time. And because One Piece can be more
What I
complex
said,
than
exactly
your
what I
average
said,
shonen,
yeah.
this led to a lot of people needing in-depth analysis about the phenoms, devil fruits, and characters that they have been enjoying through Oda's unique writing style. And Grand Line Review's channel served as a school to learn more about the wonderful world of One Piece. Liam's channel just happened to fix a lot of One Piece related problems. He had found a void in the market. I think it's also important to mention that one of Liam's strongest attributes is the ability to foresee the YouTube metas and having the balls to try new things. He once said, if you're doing the same thing on your YouTube channel that you was doing 6 months ago, you're doing something wrong.
I
At the
still believe
time,
that.
every other creator was cluttering their channels with a variety of topics and styles. Liam was one of the first people to niche down and niche down hard. Up until the 2010s, a lot of YouTubers would post a wide variety of topics on their channels. Reviews, vlogs, commentaries, reactions, etc. But over the years,
like a
YouTube
variety
really
show.
started pushing the recommended feature, which hurt a lot of these legacy channels. The same people who like an 8-minute chapter review may not want to see a 3-hour stream or you talking about your day. Click-through rates became more
Right, sorry, pause. I have to say this. I'm so sorry, Morge. This dude's catching strays in a video about me. Although, since this is a video about my controversies, I doubt that it'll be the last time that Morge is brought up.
A lot of them faded into obscurity, but someone like Liam, who didn't just niche down to one subject like anime, but a specific show, became highly favored by the algorithm. Using similar methods, he was even able to replicate this success a second time on his next channel, Hunter x Hunter. But
Hunter x
not
Hunter.
all of Liam's projects would work out. Team Pokemon. This was Liam's third channel that never
Team
broke 20K
Pokemon!
subscribers. It's now a dead
Mate,
channel, and
this
trust
guy
me, I
knows
know
too
that it's
much.
still an impressive amount of
Too much.
subscribers. I'm sitting at 2,000, so 20K kind of seems like a dream. Unlike his One
Sitting
Piece
at
channel where he was
4,000
ahead of
at
the
the time
wave,
I'm watching
King
this.
Pokemon.
Yeah, it probably seems like a dream to a lot of people. Almost 20,000 subscribers, what, 5 to 6k views per video. But the big problem with Team Pokemon was the time cost of producing those videos, because they started to heavily impact Grand Line Review and New World Review videos, which were the things that subsidized Team Pokemon. And then eventually I just had to pull the plug and go back to focusing on the bread and butter. It was a great experience though. You learn so much more from your failures than you do your successes.
His videos got swallowed up by the same algorithm that helped build his previous channels. But between 2016 and 2023, Liam's Grand Line Review channel has seen consistent growth, even blasting past 1 million subscribers, earning him his own treasure, the coveted gold play button. But with more views comes more problems. So let's get to some controversies. If you've learned anything or been enjoying this video so far, it would be amazing if you could leave me a like on this video. My like goal for this video will be 516, which I know might be too ambitious, but it's just one more than my most liked video. And this one took twice the effort. I did love every minute of it, but I don't think my boss did.
It actually is a surprisingly well edited
breaking my
video.
like record would
Like,
definitely
this is
make
engaging.
It worth it. Liam often
I know the end of
himself
this story,
in some
and I'm
kind of Reddit
engaged.
or Twitter feud. One Piece Reddit seems to have a disdain for the new direction of Grand Line Review. Threads like bring back the old Grand Line Review garners 2.2k upvotes, and others like the old Grand Line Review died a long time ago. But what does that mean? What is the old Grand Line Review?
Yeah, so the bring back old line review, So the bring back old Grand Line Review crowd, I think mostly boils down to people who watch my videos pre-face reveal, because there were a lot of people who watched that channel essentially as a video encyclopedia. And then when I started to inject more personalities, they were very much put off, which is fine. I get it. It's not what you wanted to watch anymore, but also it's not what I wanted to be anymore. And a lot of those same people often go on to aggressively claim that I've sold out, or that I'm catering my videos to casuals. In fact, I've seen Redditors say on multiple occasions that I cater to the quote lowest common denominator, which I find amusing because those same people are the ones who are accusing me of being elitist. But yeah, some people get, in my opinion, unnecessarily offended when content isn't specifically catered for their individual needs. Whereas now what I like to do is meet the needs of as many people as possible, as well as myself. But then again, I guess I've just sold out and I'm all about the money. Bring back old Grand Line Review.
Liam has seen his critiques and addressed it, stating the reason he stopped was simple. It just got boring. He basically was just reading definitions like some sort of One Piece themed Quizlet. He needed to make content that fueled his creative needs. Additionally, he explained the reason he canceled One Piece 101, that with One Piece being so long, character breakdown videos quickly became outdated. With all the twists in One Piece, these videos are basically anti-evergreen videos. So he slowly moved towards personality and opinion-based content, which some fans did not like. But if you review his videos addressing these critiques, the majority of the comments love this new direction. Liam, I'm a huge fan of how your humor has evolved. It genuinely makes
to be fair, I think the people leaving those comments
the new content allows for people to feel more connected.
But I love them. Thank you for leaving them.
This is the key to creating loyal fans that grow with you wherever your content takes you. He's only started showing his face less than 2 years ago.
Stop showing this clip.
Why? His subscribers has doubled. Alright guys, Grand Line Review versus Mr. Moore's versus JD Legend.
Alright, let's do it.
And Twitter feeds with his personal griefs about One Piece, internet culture, and other creators. But this has led to numerous Reddit threads and Twitter wars revolving around his opinions, which leads us to the Goofy Pirate comic incident. Liam has The
Goofy Pirate comic incident sounds like an event ripped straight out of One Piece, like the Rocky Port incident or the God Valley incident. And I guess it is true because the online fan base, it does have its fair share of incidences, whether I'm involved or not. I'm not involved in all of them.
Often been accused of being condescending, including references he's made towards One Piece. He has described this shonen in a way that a lot of fans find belittling, like him often referring to it as a Goofy Pirate comic. This ultimately became a meme. The phrase is often used in One Piece debates as a weapon for someone to stop taking One Piece so serious.
Yeah, so the way some people took this was to rubber band to the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Like, they take my statement about Goofy Pirate manga and juxtapose it with Law smuggling himself in a bunch of corpses, as if that's some kind of big gotcha moment. But really, I could do exactly the same thing. I could post the statement, One Piece is a super serious, dark, adult-geared manga. And then with that statement, I could include an image of Robin grabbing Frankie's balls or Kaido doing this sexy face, you know, the one he does. Because it is a goofy, weird, and wacky manga. That's not all it is. Nobody ever said that's all it is. And it does have a lot of super powerful, depthful moments that contrast really well with the wackiness. But I really hate it when people pretend that One Piece is some sort of sane seinen with the same atmospheric or thematic tones as a Berserk or a Vinland Saga, because it's not. Yes, it does have those darker elements, but it's meant to be a fun, enjoyable adventure, and that's exactly what it is 95% of the time.
But on January 18, 2022, an all-out battle of One Piece creators and their followers began, each creator acting as a captain, spearheading a heated debate between their followers. It all started with Mr. Morge, a YouTuber known for his deep plot analysis and art breakdowns. Mr. Morge took to Twitter to discuss his frustration about the Wano arc not living up to its potential. He said, "I should drop the opinion that Wano is actually going to have a story, that it's going to actually follow a basic narrative structure or dramatic setup, midpoint, or payoff. I still believe in this arc though." This prompted Liam to swiftly quote the tweet saying, "It does have a story, just not the one you want.
Second most
It's
infamous
actually a
tweet
fun
I've ever
read when
made
you don't pile
behind the
insane
gaping
expectations
anus
onto it, just like the rest of the goofy pirate comic." This resulted in a slew of tweets accusing Liam of trashing the series, the one that built his channel. Fans are starting to wonder if Grand Line Review even respects One Piece as much as they assumed he did.
I think people were more offended by the word
To a lot of
comic than the
people,
word
One Piece
goofy.
is much more than a typical manga or anime. It's an emotional roller coaster that has been with them for most of their lives. JD Legend let his feelings known shortly after this exchange. Jay is a One Piece streamer, reactor, and reviewer who occasionally dabbles in the zaha of a certain black-bearded pirate. Jay said, "One Piece, a story with multiple horrific accounts of slavery, racism, cannibalism, and infanticide, and suggested things that happened to Hancock and Lola. It being called a goofy pirate comic just doesn't sit right with me. Insinuating that reducing something as complex as One Piece to just a goofy fun time is demeaning."
You know, I think that this is just a Twitter problem because it's a platform designed to breed confrontation. Because what I can say in a single tweet is just so forcibly limited that anyone with any agenda can interpret that in any way they want. For example, I never said that One Piece is just a goofy pirate comic, but that's how JD and many others took it. They inserted the word just into their statements to retroactively change my statements to fit their argument.
A fan responded to Jay saying that, "Wait, what doesn't sit right with you? One Piece is most definitely a goofy pirate comic. One of the best things about One Piece is how it manages these different tones and subjects while still being a goofy pirate comic." Jay clapped back, letting him know that my point is it's not just a goofy pirate comic, and he never really added Liam in any of this. Liam did feel hit and accused Jay of misrepresenting his point. Now,
oh yeah, we should point this out because JD was a very sneaky boy here. He addressed my statement, but he didn't address me. Possibly because he wanted to express his opinions without starting a full-on shit fight, which I think is absolutely fair. Having been involved in many Twitter arguments now, I can say they're never worth it. Nothing good ever comes from them. But I guess it does deprive me of an opportunity to respond to a direct reference to my words being applied to a different context, because it paints me in a very negative light to his followers, but doing so under the radar to kind of hide that right of reply from me.
Liam holds the belief that although One Piece is a beautifully complex story that follows a lot of the Shakespearean comedic tragedy tropes or touches on a lot of deeper subjects, it's important to remember that at its core, it's still primarily just a fun ride.
Deep happens within the framework of fun adventure.
For what it is and don't hold it to an impossibly high standards, they would enjoy it more. This is echoed in a recent tweet by Liam where he said, "People shouldn't expect Oda to be some kind of manga Scorsese."
Oh, pause. I completely forgot about this, but do you want to know what the funniest thing about this goofy controversy was? The most amazing thing is that in terms of human history, this whole argument happened before Gear 5th. So when Gear 5th got revealed, all of a sudden those very loud and argumentative Twitter people got real quiet. And you know what? I think ever since then, the goofy statement has never been a problem, because the most important power-up, fight, and climactic moment of the last 10 years got turned into a literal Looney Tunes skit. There is no fighting against that. It is a goofy pirate manga. And I really can't tell you just how vindicated I felt when that happened. Because to me it was like, alright, good. I'm not the one misreading this manga. I'm still in touch here, and it was the hyper-serious analysts who were way off the mark.
Jay seeing things perpendicularly, that yes, One Piece is a fun time, but the amount of details that Oda puts into the nuances, character development, tragic backstories, and mysteries as a master world builder leaves One Piece deserving of a certain level of respect, and weaponizing that phrase to tell people to stop taking it so
100%
serious.
deserving of the respect.
I would like to add that
also,
Goofy may be causing a class of cultures.
Take it too
in
seriously.
the United States, Goofy is often used as a synonym for lame. We use it to mean loser. Rappers use it to diss their enemies as the ultimate disrespect. So
that's very interesting. I didn't know that. So as you may or may not be able to tell, my connection to the rap community is, well, it's non-existent. So I guess that could have been an issue, not just for rap enthusiasts, but for America in general. I mean, despite us all speaking English, the US, England, and Australia, we all use the the language very differently. So that's something I've not considered up until now. That's legitimately interesting.
This wasn't the last of Liam's Twitter entanglements. Liam has had a 10-month feud with One Piece theorist Joe 3 Skull.
Joe 3 Skull,
Ohara, another One Piece creator, for his clickbaity tactics and overall disappointment and how a lot of big YouTubers operate. Liam admittedly jumped into this himself to defend Ohara,
which I should note was originally about a post made by Ohara. Nothing to do with me. I just rudely butted in here.
Liam's point is that Joe, being a Twitter-only creator, does not know the ins and outs of YouTube, and that his reasonings for his grieves are being pulled out of his gaping anus. Joe's point is anime YouTubers shooting clickbait that through good content and hard work, their videos will grow anyway, even with less clickable titles. He also threw some mud himself, calling Liam a piece of shit and also accusing him of making subpar generic content. Besides that, both creators kind of make the least of what. But I personally just feel like it wasn't worth it. There was no way for Liam to come out on top in this scenario. All the topics Joe was bringing up are things that a lot of viewers agree on about the average anime creator. Arguments about spoilers and clickbaits have been going on since the dawn of YouTube. Defending it kind of makes you feel a little out of touch, even if you're making good points.
Alright, so we'll pause there because he's obviously not going to go into the full argument, which I think is fair enough. It was a very long affair. But the Joe thing, when people try to summarize it, always gets misconstrued. Because I was not arguing with Joe about clickbait. That's just how the conversation started. The actual argument began because Joe claimed that doing YouTube was easy despite never having done it himself. And that is what 95% of that argument was about. The other 5% was about gaping anuses, which I take full responsibility for. But I do get a bit annoyed when people say that this was an argument about clickbait, because sure, Joe kept trying to bring it back to that because he didn't have anything else of substance to argue. But the core issue was that he was shit-talking a profession that he'd never done.
When Liam's right, people do click clickable titles more, but it's hard for him to argue this point when Liam has his own threads accusing him of these similar things. Reddit posts like Grand Line Review, Try Not to Clickbait Challenge, Impossible. I'll leave my thoughts about clickbait for a future video because it's a very nuanced topic. Joe also accused Liam of being a bully and causing a lot of harassment on his page since Liam is so much bigger than him. And even though Liam didn't want him to, it's something you gotta kind of be aware of when you have a really big following.
Yeah, I do think you need to be aware of it, but I also think that if you're feeling inclined to fuck around, then you should expect to find out. People have this expectation online that I'm supposed to act more like an entity than a human, like a company. And as a result, certain people feel entitled to shit talk me under the guise of criticism without any fear of clapback. And then when I do clap back, the narrative becomes, oh, big, mean creator bullying poor, innocent Twitter user. And I really don't think that's fair. If people publicly, blatantly state false information or insult you online, then you have every right to reply. You have every right to take them into the kitchen and cook, because I'm not going to sit here and just take your bullshit. I don't need to. And sure, yes, I should be aware that that's going to have a knock-on effect to my audience, and maybe they're going to start getting involved as well. But I also think that when you're deliberately antagonizing someone with a larger following, then you should maybe be aware that your actions might have some consequences. Like, you can't aggressively poke a beehive and then accuse the inevitably angry bees of bullying you. And in the end, it's not my job to protect anyone from being an idiot on the internet.
And you debate smaller creators. Now, most of Liam's subscribers did side with him, but it's the little things like this that give his haters more ammo and can cause cracks in his armor. But as of now, Grand Line Review is still the king of One Piece dude, but I'm coming for the title. What do you think of Grand Line Review? And what anime creator should my next video be?
He's coming for my title. Oh, that was really cool. That was a very fun and surprisingly well-made video. So I hope you keep making more stuff, Mr. Pirate Diaries, and I was honored to be one of your subjects.